Hello there, and welcome to Healing the World Together. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this woman, I have to say woman because she's so much younger than me. And I just want to say girl, but she's a woman and she's incredible. She describes herself as a data and matrix strategist who helps founders use numbers to make make smarter, faster business decisions. She's also on a mission to prove that data doesn't have to be dull and that it can be your most human tool for growth. But I think she's underselling herself because I came across this incredible person probably about 5 years ago, and her mind is second to none. It's incredible. I've seen what she can do. Um, I've had long conversations with her, and I feel like everybody needs to meet Zoe Dew. Hello.
Hello, thank you for that introduction. That was a wonderful introduction.
Well, it's true. It's true. You know me and stuff. It's like I don't say what I don't mean.
No, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I don't say what I don't mean. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's wild that it's 5 years, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
5 years
yeah.
is a significant amount of time, I feel.
It is a significant amount of time, and I'm really excited to have you on here because I don't know anybody that does metrics like you. I remember the first tool you created, and I was like, how? How does a human being put all of this together? But I've also watched your brain at work and the ideas you come out with, and I'm like, how? Who's got a brain like that? It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Where do you get that from?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah,
I'm autistic.
right.
So I think my brain just thinks very differently. And in my assessment, he said to me, a lot of people could a lot of people who get a diagnosis could do with doing what you've done, which is take everything that you have found difficult and make it a strength. And
Mm,
when I look at everything I've done, I've either made something that I'm interested, something that I can be paid for, or created tools that make my life easier. And before I got my diagnosis, I would have said everything I do is in the name of efficiency. So
mm.
like I'm very interested in AI and automation because it just makes well, not everyone's, but it can make a lot of mundane jobs easier and more
Yeah.
efficient, and like let's spend less time working and more time having fun. And everything I've ever built in any career that I've had has always had that angle on it.
Mm,
But yeah, I think kind of anything I'm kind of presented with, I'll think, how can I make this quicker? How can I make more money from it? Or how can I save money with it? And that's why things get created. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
yeah. So I bumped into you at an event recently, and I haven't seen you in a while, but it was almost like I'd seen you the day before. And I can't even remember what we were talking about, but yeah, we were waiting for food. You said something, and I was like, you need to come on my podcast. And one of the reasons, and I haven't told you this, one of the reasons why I wanted you to come is because I want people to see the human be behind Zoe Dew. Because you are extremely efficient. You're very good at what you do. You definitely have made a name for yourself. Um, and I love watching your Instagram stories. I've been watching it for years. Like I just watch it in fascination. It's like watching a TV show. I've never seen someone who um is as busy, as efficient, as successful, and yet they manage to run a household hands-on like you do, um, with a marriage and parents round the corner and a dog and events. Like it's mind-blowing. How do you do all of that? I'm intrigued. And bake and sew. I've not added those bits in.
I haven't sewed in so long. Um, Regrettably, I want to keep sewing. I just haven't in a while. Um, I think I have routine for everything. So everything is structured and routine.
Mm,
So like it gets to a certain time of day. Like I've added in now the gym as well. So yeah, it's very much like I have pockets of time for each thing. And something happened today actually, which meant that I was like sat there like I don't know what to do because I had planned to do a piece of work. I didn't have the access to be able to do that piece of work, but I really struggled to think like, oh, I could just move on to something else, but I couldn't because that's not what I'd
Right.
had planned for the day.
Right.
Um, it's interesting that you say like see the human behind it because I am a very soft person,
Yeah.
but I think I don't come across as
No.
that most of
No,
the
you
time.
no, you don't.
So a lot of the time, at that event and things like that, people will meet me in person and go, "Oh gosh, you're not at all like how I thought you'd be." But I think that's because I have had to in my career be quite even though I've never worked in a corporate job, I've had
Mm,
to be quite I always say like a Rottweiler, like protective of who I'm working with or protective of my boss or my venue when I was in weddings or whoever it is.
mm,
So and being having to make strategic, financially led decisions kind of butts heads with being soft at times. So I'm very like separate. Like people say to me, I could never like I've had clients say before, God, I just could never share as much as you do on social. And I'm
mm.
like, how much do you actually know about me?
Right.
Like, how much do you actually see outside of what I allow you to see? Like, you
Yeah.
see in my office, you see my kitchen, you see my mum and dad, you see my husband, increasingly less see my husband, you see my dog and my cat. You will never see my brother. You will never see my nieces. You will never see my friends. You will never see other rooms of my house.
Mm,
Very rarely, if I'm like on holiday, will you see any of that? There's so much of me that I don't share, but I committed a long time ago to sharing like 20% all of the time. So people think that they know me, but they don't.
mm. And that's fascinating because, you know, I struggle with that. I don't know what that 20% is. So I'm an oversharer. So I'll just end up just showing everything. So I almost go the opposite way and then don't share as much. Or when I share it's and I know funnily enough, I posted something the other day and I was like, that sounds so clinical, but I'm like, I don't know how to do the 20%. So for anybody who's listening, what does 20% look like?
So I I feel like I exclusively pretty much use Instagram. I have tried on LinkedIn, it's not for me. No matter how many people say to me, you should be on LinkedIn, it's not going to happen. I posted something the other day when I said, "Oh, my LinkedIn feed's just full of rubbish.
Yeah.
I probably need to start again." And then all these people started commenting like, "No, you need to interact with the content that you like. You need to do this." And I'm like, "I didn't post for that. I was just complaining. Let me be." But yeah, I pretty much exclusively use Instagram. So I feel like I have a good relationship with the people that follow me on Instagram, and I know what they like to talk about because they come back and forth in my DMs. So there are certain things that, like you mentioned them at the top. So baking, sewing, they're quite generic categories, I would say, but
Mm.
they are things that I enjoy doing. If I ever put on, does anyone want a tarot card? Like I'll always get a response to that. But like I always think with other people, my friends especially, and Ben and my parents, but especially my friends, my brother, they haven't chosen to live their lives online. They haven't chosen to, to share that stuff. If they do or whatever, maybe they do. But like I I share what I am doing,
Yeah.
not what other people are doing with me. That's probably the
Right.
best way to say
Yeah.
it. And if
Yeah.
if I can relate it to work, most of the stuff I talk about is related to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but in a very kind of I am also an oversharer. So if I don't have those boundaries in place,
Yeah.
I would just share everything, and that's also doesn't work for me. I know.
So let's tap into your mind a bit. So you often say that people lie, but data doesn't.
Mhm.
So what's one time that data completely changed your mind about something you were convinced was true?
Oh, I mean that happens daily. So like I'll take Instagram as an example. There's been a thing recently where you can do trial reels. I don't know if you've come across them, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah. I don't get the point of
no.
them.
So you can test reels and like everyone
Yeah.
was saying, video first content, create video. Video is really important. And I don't like creating video is fine for me. My brother is literally a video producer. Like I could create video content till the cows come home. But when I look at my own content, the stuff that gets saved and the stuff that gets I get messages about are always carousels or static posts. never video content. My view count, not that vanity metrics, like I don't really give them much attention, but sometimes it's the only thing you can go off.
Mm.
I get maybe double the amount of views I get on carousels than I do on reels. So for me, I know that for my audience, they're not watching my reels, and that's great. I don't want to create them. I'd rather create static posts. Um, but also, like, I was working with a client who was launching every month. They would be launching a new course or a new, like, opening their membership or digital products, or like, I need to create something new.
Mm.
And actually, when we looked at what was coming in, their monthly recurring revenue, what they had for the rest of the year, this was in June 24. They actually didn't have to launch anything until January 25. And they would still double their revenue year on year because they had already done the work. But in their heads, because there was no new cash injection,
Mm.
they felt that their money was going to run out. But that wasn't the case because they hadn't been like looking at it properly. Um, and the reason I say data lie, that people lie, data doesn't, is because a lot of the times the big gurus in the online space will say things like, come and follow my plan, buy my blueprint, follow my roadmap on
Mm.
how to do this. But it's only really tested with their business and their audience and their
Yeah.
way of doing things. So
Mhm.
you pick up that plan and put it into your business and it doesn't work. But it doesn't work because it wasn't built for your business. You can only go off what you know is working. Um, it took me a long time to realize that, but it's so freeing when you do.
So you've just touched on two elements that I want to find out about because it's funny, as you're speaking, I'm going, oh my God, that just happened this week, and I really want to talk about that. So the first thing I'll say is about data. So I was watching a reel and it was about Shark Tank in America, which is the Dragon's Den version. And there was a lady who wanted some investment. So she got the investment and she was really adamant about the business. Then she ended up being the most successful investment on Dragon's Den because she looked after cats and she sold, yeah, I know you love your cat. So she sold it to a company and it wasn't because of the business, it was because of the data that she'd collected. I know that, and including myself, that a lot of people don't collect as much data as they should. What advice could you give to them? Because the more I lean into this, and I've always known this, but I just don't do it as much. But the more I lean into it, the more I realize how much data is really important. It's almost more important than your business because once you've got the data, then the business seems a lot easier to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when people think it's quite corporate to talk about data-driven decision making, and it can be. And like, hopefully, me and my pink sweatshirts and like used to have pink hair can make it a bit more fun. But if you have the data, everything becomes easier.
Mm,
Everything, every decision you have to make. If you have your audience insights and you know what they respond to, if you have your pricing points and you know what sells best, if you have tested different strategies and have recorded the results of those strategies and experiments. I mean,
mm,
everything in business is an experiment, right? Like we are all just testing,
yeah.
testing all the time. And so when you track that testing, track the results of that testing, that's collecting data. Now, most people that I speak to, and especially people that I've been speaking to recently, they've said, I don't really have much data, or I don't really collect anything. But you don't have to, because if you've got a business that operates online, all of these companies are collecting data for you already.
Mm,
It's just that you're not going and getting it. So like when you I was just in someone's stand store this morning, which is like a Thrive Cart Stripe
yeah, yeah.
situation. And in there is stored the location of every client that's ever bought from them. And she had said to me, I want to record where people are from or buying from because of VAT. Because obviously, if there's no reciprocal VAT situation, you don't have to pay the VAT on that customer or on that purchase. And she was like, yeah, if there's any way that I can do that. And I was like, I mean, it's literally there. Like you just need to open up this part. And because if you don't think in that way, like even on social media, you can go to your insights and find out so much information from those things because they're already collecting the data for you. So going back to what I said before about efficiency, like don't try to reinvent the wheel. The main point is that you are, well, there's two things. The main point is that you're one, going and getting that information periodically, even if it's once a month. Just go and
Mm.
get, decide on the things that are important to you for you to know and go and get that information. Two, the thing that you should track more is your own behavior, not what other people are doing. So if you can track your own behavior, if things are feeling hard or if things are feeling slow, ask yourself one of four questions. Was I visible today? Did I make an offer today? Did I deliver value to my clients today? Did I reach out to someone that I already know today? And if you say no to one of those questions, you're not doing everything you can to bring more money into your business. Because and then track those four questions because
Mm.
if you can't control what other people do, you can't control other people's reactions, you certainly can't control what the algorithm decides to show people. Someone who's been a client of mine for probably 7 years messaged me today and said, I've not had an email from you in a while. And I went onto my email list. She's not there. She has been a client of mine for 7 years. She's not there. Now, I don't know what's happened. I don't know when she got
Mm.
deleted. I don't know when she got removed. But you can't control what other things are doing. You can only control your behavior. So if you can, hand on heart, say, I am doing everything I can to make this business a success, then you can start to look at, okay, what am I putting out there? What do I need to change that's going out? But until you're doing all those things, there's no point in like working on your content strategy or working on your messaging or working on your offers because
Mm.
you're not doing anything to make people want to buy.
I love that. I love the fact that you're talking about tracking our own behavior. God, it's almost like you're in my brain because one of the things I was thinking about today was patterns. I was like, we need to really monitor our patterns. Like, what is it that happens before we end up in a sticky situation? What is it? What are we doing every time we go into a sticky situation? Because if we're really honest with ourselves, we'll realize that there's a pattern that we follow every single day. So I love the fact that you've elaborated on that. And I was going to ask a question. And I was like, no, I'm not going to ask that question. And I'll tell you what the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask you if somebody asked us four questions, do they need to do it once a day or twice a day? But please don't answer because this is the solution that I came to. I was like, do you know what? We're all grown-ups here, and I want people to start making up their own mind. I want people to stop relying on the word of other people just because they're either more visible, more successful. Like, make up your own mind. And I feel like women, especially, tend to turn into, I call it the little girl syndrome, where, and we do it with hairdressers, beauticians, like we just go, "Ah," you know, and when we see somebody who's sort of like leading the way, we turn into little girls and we listen rather than going in and going, okay, let's use our discernment, let's use our due diligence for ourselves and see if this aligns with us. So the other thing that I feel like you're in my mind about is about the fact of where people will hear something and somebody will say, so what's his name? He was talking about it today, actually. Alex Hormozy was saying something like, he goes, I don't believe that what do you call them? These things that you say all the time. Can't remember the word. These words, these sentences, what are they called now? Blaming me.
Mantras, affirmation.
Mantras, affirmations, thank you. He said, they don't work for me. He goes, so I don't believe that they work. He goes, and I say it because it didn't work for me, because I did it and it didn't work. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. And he says, people need to stop just listening to somebody's opinion because all they're doing is saying what's worked for them. However, I have an issue when people then come up with so much conviction that they're telling you that that's the only way, that the way that they're telling them is the only way that you're going to get the results that you want.
Mm.
Please just lend me some thoughts on that.
No, I totally agree. It works both ways. Like saying something doesn't work,
Mm,
and then also, but then on the flip side, saying something does work.
yeah,
You can't, as a consumer.
yeah.
So, for instance, let's use an example that's not like online space. It's
Mm,
very general. So, like, have I got it in here? I've not got it in here, but the Dyson Airwrap, the
yes.
Dyson Airwrap hair styler. I've got that, and I've also got the Dyson hairdryer. I was gifted
Okay.
the Air Wrap. I was actually gifted the hairdryer as well, but
Mm,
husband, not husband. So I have no skin in the game. I didn't buy either of
mm,
those things.
mm,
I inherited one and I was gifted one. So the I was talking to my hairdresser and I said, "Oh, no matter what I tell you to do, how," and I wasn't blaming her, but I said, However you cut my hair, it just never looks how I need it to look. Like I've got this whole vision of having, thick, beautiful, blow-dried hair. My hair's quite fine and it's all breaking off and dying because I've bleached it blonde. Um, and she said, with all due respect, your hair's never going to look how you want it to look because you haven't learned how to dry your hair. And I was like, oh, okay. It was the first time anyone had ever spoken to me like that. Because I
mm.
was like, I've got the air wrap, I've got the hair dryer, and it just nothing's working. I've got all the tools, it's really expensive. And she was like, yeah, with all due respect, it's not going to work because you don't know how to dry your hair. You need to sit and watch a YouTube video and learn how to blow dry your hair. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I can do that. Like, that's fine. So I did. And the first time I did it, it took me an hour to do it with my hairdryer. And that, with the roller brush and like doing it properly. I mean, now it takes me probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing anyone had ever said to me was, you need to go and learn how to do it. So then I see people on socials going, should I get the Dyson Airwrap? Should I get the Flex Shark? Blah, blah, blah. And everyone's going, oh, I love my Dyson, but I've got really thick hair. I love my Shark, but I don't blow dry it or like whatever. Like they're all giving their own opinion of why they love it and what it's done for them.
Mm,
Whereas actually, that's not what that person needs. What that person needs is for someone to go, it works if you've got thick hair. It doesn't work so well if you've got fine hair. But ultimately, you need to learn how to use it with your hair to get the best result that you can. And if you don't know how to blow dry your hair, then you're kind of starting from a standing start because it's never going to look good.
yeah.
And like to finish the story with the Dyson Airwrap, it never worked on my hair. Like the curls never held. And I can do my hair really well. Like that's not me being a poor technician. It just, for me, was not the best
Mm,
use of my time and stuff. But if we're always going on people's recommendations, and like it does work in some
of
circumstances, right?
course.
Like when you're looking for a restaurant, you're going to go to the one that's got the queue out the door. You're not going to go to the one that's empty. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben and I went to Bordeaux a few weeks ago and we went to this square and there was loads of cafes. None of them had anyone in. So we just went to the one that was nearest to us and we got a coffee and some lunch. Within half an hour, the outside was full and none of the other ones had anyone at them. And it was
Mm,
because we'd sat at that one to begin with. So as humans, we're looking for crowd. We're looking for to protect ourselves. We want to be in a circle or a crowd or just have lots of the safety in bodies.
yeah.
It's not safe being on your own. But the only way that you can use your own, the only way you can like get success in your business is by looking at what happens and what works for you and building on that. And some people do have success building on other people's strategies,
Mm,
but generally speaking, if you are I don't know, if you're a photographer, no, that's a bad example. If you're a copywriter,
yeah.
growing an Instagram following, following someone who is an Instagram expert is probably not going to work for you because what you're teaching or what you're doing is not what this person over here is doing. So it's like apples and oranges.
Interesting. So let me ask you another question. Women and metrics. Ha. Um, a lot of women fear numbers. It's just a fact. And it's not because that they can't do them, but it's because they've been told they don't belong in that space. So, how in your work do you help them rewrite that story, if at all?
So a lot of people, I mean, I don't work exclusively with women, but majority,
Yeah,
like majority are feminine in
right.
their approach. Even if they are male, or non-binary, they're more feminine than masculine.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the people that I approach to work with them, if I
Mm,
look at their business out from the outside, I'm like, you'd be perfect. Come and work with me. A lot of the responses I get are, I'm not big enough. I don't have enough. I'm not, I'm just small. I'm just a one-to-one person. I'm, and very like, I can hear it in their voice. They're almost shrinking themselves down to be like, oh no, I'm such a small business. Like I don't need you.
mm,
And it breaks my heart to hear that because I want to make you bigger. So
Mm,
even if you think you are small, I can still help you by helping you grow your business. And I think ultimately, like it's taken me a long time to land on this. Like I have
mm,
skirted around it for years. Even when I was working in weddings, the numbers were the bit that always excited me. When I was at school, I was in the middle set for maths, and I was told that I would never get an A. So I worked super hard to get an A at GCSE because I was told that would never happen. And I went to an all-girls school. It's not like, I was being pitted against boys, but anyway, that's another
mm.
story. Um, so I think it's not as sexy to be interested in the numbers as it is to be interested in the visuals or the words or the feeling. But ultimately, the numbers are the thing that's going to tell you if you're going to make money or not. So that's why I think more women should be take more of an interest in what your percentages are or what your bottom line is, than just do I have money coming into my account every month.
Yeah, and I like to pair that as well, also with like just financial education in general. It's that taking that responsibility, isn't it? And going, I know what's going on. I mean, I've had to learn really late in life and what have you, and I'm still learning. It's not something that comes naturally to me, but it's I didn't need to, and then by the time you realize that you need to, your brain's developed to a point where learning isn't as sponge-like as when you're younger and what have
Mm,
you, which is why I really feel as if, the space that you've created is much needed.
mm.
What's that one metric that you would say every founder needs to obsess over?
Retention rate.
Okay. Any reason why?
Yeah, because we all, well, not all of us, most of us obsess with getting new people to work with us. Okay.
Yeah.
I need new, especially if, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are neurodiverse and newness creates dopamine, creates novelty. So we go, oh, how can I get my reach up? How can I get more people in my world? How can I speak to more people? How can I have more conversations? And actually over here, so say that's your left hand, over here in your right hand is a whole bunch of people who have bought from you before, worked from you before, had conversations with you before, who would love a little bit of attention and would love for you to bring something out that
Mm,
really, really spoke to them. I
mm,
see like alumni and client only groups working really well in this space, even if it's free or, a very low cost um payment
mm.
to just keep people in your world.
Yeah,
They are your strongest advocates. I mean, all of us who don't do any sort of consulting would love to have a business that ran on referrals. Like, imagine if you didn't have to market yourself. That's
yeah.
like the beautiful place that we would love to be. That only happens when you have advocates. How do you get advocates? You build a world of fans. How do you have a world of fans? You have clients. If you treat those clients really well and you give them things to keep coming back to, there's someone called Nicola Moores who is a fantastic consultant in like the course space, copywriter and like launch consultant. She talks about the infinite offer ecosystem where it's not about having loads of offers, it's just about having something that people can always move on to and keep in your space. And I'm going to throw this stat out because it gets bandied around a lot, but it's 5 times more expensive to bring someone new into your world than to convert someone who's already in it.
100%.
So if you know your retention rate, if you know, okay, well, I spend £100 bringing someone in,
Mm,
but I know that 60% of the people that I bring in then go on to spend another £500 with me,
mm.
then you would work harder at retention than you would at bringing someone in.
Fascinating. And I did know that bit piece of information or those stats. But interestingly, I was watching Stacey Solomon yesterday, and she's just launched her rehab into Boots and everywhere else. And as we're watching, you'd have loved this. As we're watching the figures, they kept on going, "Oh, we've got a new sale," and she kept on going, "Yeah, but have we got any repeat clients? Yeah, but have we got any repeat clients?" And then every time they said, "Yeah, we've had somebody who's like a 7-time client, 21-time client," she's like, "Right, we need to send them something special." That's all she kept on focusing on. I was like, "That's so good."
Mm.
It was a great reminder to, honor the clients that are there before, because those are the ones that are going to stay. They're there for a reason, right? It's like they're definitely not like a one-trick pony.
No, I mean, every client that I've worked with this year, I would say, I mean, this might not be something to shout about. I'm quite happy with it. every person that I've worked with this year has worked with me before.
Amazing.
So they have come back to me. I mean, a lot of the work that I've done this year has been project based. So we've done project after project together. Some clients that I've worked with on a like one-to-one consultancy basis have then come back to me to build a project. Like just that level of trust is already there. The communication type is already set out. Like there's the expectations in a good way are lower because you already have a level of understanding of each other. So
Mm,
like I can make decisions when I'm building if I'm building like an Airtable database out, for instance, I can make decisions knowing, oh, Vicky would think like this, so I will do it this way, and then I'll check with her afterwards. Whereas when you're a service provider, sometimes it can be really frustrating. It happened to me this morning. Someone that I've known for a very long time is a client at the moment, and I needed access to something, and she was on a train. So she couldn't give me access. So that's what like derailed me this morning because I was like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Whereas um people that I've always worked with before, I either already have access or it's really easy to give me access again.
yeah.
So yeah, I think rewarding and retaining clients is the most important piece of work that most business owners don't do.
Fascinating. So let's talk about Zoe again. Zoe Dew. What's the one thing that you feel we should know about you?
Hmm. That's really difficult. I don't have like it's really hard to answer that question because I don't have a huge sense of self. And it's something that used to really bother me. Um, I don't know what I stand for in a way that other people know what they stand for. Because I've spent my whole life trying to fit in with everyone else and like not feel like the outsider. But I things you should probably know is are that I am really soft. I know I mentioned it before, but not soft as in like weak, but soft
No.
as in soft-scented,
Yeah.
like a caramel dairy milk, like dairy milk chocolate. And then the other thing is I'm a real geek. Like I will really geek out over stuff. And my knowledge, like useless knowledge retention, I really wish I could use my brain for like other things, but I'm great in pub quizzes because I really remember stupid details. I am great at knowing like what year films came out and like stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I love pop culture, TV, anything like that. And yeah, I think the way that I have maybe portrayed myself online or have been portrayed online isn't necessarily true to the person that you would meet in the pub.
Mm-hmm. Again, you mentioned sort of like the roles that you've had have been roles where you've had to be firm. You've had to sort of like be assertive and put it out there. But you see, it's like from the moment I met you and started to, I just knew how soft you were, and and I remember it was at a Christmas party, and I was like, right, you and I are taking a picture, which I still have, by the way, and stuff. It's just like, like, and that's how it started. Like I've always felt as if you know, there's two sides to you, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like a bit like the whole feminine and masculine energy thing. It's like you don't use them all at once. You play them off against each other depending on the situations. And as long as it works for you, why not? At the end of the day, I'd rather have that than somebody who didn't know how to apply themselves to the different situations and what have you. But it's interesting that you say you don't have a sense of self and what have you. But I also believe that there's a lot of people out there who probably don't have a sense of self because we're still children deep down inside, and you can only develop based on the seeds you were given. And
Mm.
if those seeds weren't matured, then we stay in that little girl's body where you go where the influence is, and it's only later on in life that you start to realize that, oh, I can be my own person,
Mhm.
and um there's no consequence of that, and even if there is a consequence, I'll deal with it because I'm a big girl kind of thing. So really fascinating. As we've start to wrap up, what does fulfillment mean to Zoe Dew?
Um, I think fulfillment is contentment.
Hmm.
So am I content with everything, every kind of spidery leg of my life that's reaching out? Like, am I happy with my home? Am I happy with my husband? Am I happy with my family? No, content, not happy, content.
Mm, mm,
Um, Honestly, like I'm fulfilled if I have client work going on. I can still work on my own business. I am able to have a Saturday night at home. I've not had a Saturday night at home for about 4 weeks, and it's really stressing me out. Um, um, and actually, like for in a work perspective, in recent months, being able to walk into a room and like not be bothered about walking into a room, which sounds so weird to
mm,
say,
mm,
but not having a racing heart and worried about who's going to be there. Um, I've had a lot of anxiety in the past about things like that, because I never know what people think of me,
mm,
and I find it quite hard to read other people. So
mm,
if they I never know if we've not met before. I never know how to read people. Um, but yeah, I'm very happy that I've been able to have my own business for 7 years now. I think that's a feat in itself,
mm.
and hopefully long may it continue.
Amen. Amen. It's interesting, isn't it? It's like I you talk about sort of like walking into a room, and I'm someone who I walk into a room and I'll speak to everybody. I don't know if that's an age thing. I don't know if it's my way of coping, but I'm just very much, you know what? If if we don't like each other, if you don't like me, or if you don't think much of me, I'll know straight away, which makes it so much easier to move you away from my life, if that makes sense. But also, I think in every room, and I've said this, I did a networking, I don't know what to call it, like a networking workshop once, and I said everybody else is walking into a room thinking the same thing.
Mm,
Everybody else is no matter how much they're bigged up in different areas, everybody's walking into the room going, "Oh my God, will people like me? Or what if today's the day when nobody likes me?"
mm,
And all you can do is just be yourself and, you know, do what you do best and try not to mirror somebody else's persona
mm,
at the
mm.
end of the day and stuff. But yeah, I'm really glad that you're at that space now where you feel like, do you know what? I really don't care. Because and I say this to my clients as well, nobody pays your flaming bills.
No.
Nobody pays your bills. Nobody does. And half the time we're thinking that what people may think, they've got their own stuff going on, so they're not even
Mm,
thinking about you. But nobody pays your bills, and until that person decides to come and pay your bills, only then can they have a say so about where you go, where you can't go, and everything else. Um, and but I think that comes with maturity of oneself and just sitting with oneself and getting to know oneself because you can't make such brave um and important decisions without having those learnings in life.
mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think um I used to it never used to bother me. It never used to
Mm,
bother me. I used to walk in to any room with any people and really not be bothered and be like, oh, who am I going to meet today?
yeah.
And then it's not that I've had any bad experiences at all because I haven't. I've never experienced anyone being like, I don't like you.
Mm,
But I think there's definitely like a level of protection
mm,
that my brain has put in place.
mm,
Um, just because of I've seen how awful online spaces can be.
hmm.
So why wouldn't that be the same offline?
Yeah.
That's I think that's what my brain says, you've seen how bad people not bad, how badly people can speak about each other online. Why wouldn't that happen offline? But every room I go into, um, when it's an offline event, there's always smiling faces, it's always open arms, it's always, oh my gosh, I've not seen you in ages, or like, how
Mm.
are you? There's never any bad blood or any bad conversations. So it's just allowing my brain to know that it's safe and, I'm allowed to take up space too.
I'm into that. I just am too old for all of it. To be honest, I really am. I sound like an old woman when I say it, but I'm just too old for it. So I've got so many questions I want to ask. You're gonna probably have to come back. How's Sheila?
Sheila's on the windowsill at the moment. I need to feed her actually. She's been a bit neglected, but I did give some starter to my friend Sam. So she's got Freddie Mercury.
Oh, oh, I
Ben
love that.
Ben names all the sourdough starter that I give away, so he named that one Freddie Mercury. The other one was Hercules, Hercules, which
Healthful
was
yeast. Yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah. I
really
get that.
hard to say. So we went for Freddie Mercury. Um, so Freddie Mercury is going to make his first loaf this weekend. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah,
Do
Sheila's good.
you want to tell people who Sheila is?
Sheila is my sourdough starter who started in the lockdown of 2020, Christmas 2020. I started making sourdough. So this is her sixth Christmas.
Fascinating. I just love how even when you were having your kitchen done up, she still came out and played, and like it's been so consistent. And again, just another piece of, content that you put out there that hasn't really got anything to do with business, but probably does. And you put out there and it's still fascinating and has a lot of comments and a lot of
Yeah.
intrigue.
My friend Ellie Kine, Eleanor Molly on Instagram, she talks about law, Lore. What's your law?
Oh,
And so I definitely think Sheila is part of my law.
okay. So so tell me what's a law?
So it's the makeup of your kind of personal story. So in fairy tales,
Hmm.
like the lore of Cinderella is like what happened to Cinderella, like what's her background, how did she get to where she is right now, like all of those sorts of things. What are the components that make up who she is? Kind of like world building,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
she put on Instagram today what it means, but I'm gonna Google lore definition because I might have got that completely wrong.
I
A body of traditions and knowledge on a subject held by a particular group, passed from person to person by word of mouth. So like it's like passing on stories,
yeah.
that type of thing. So like if you were speaking about me to someone else, you might mention that I have Sheila the sourdough starter. That would be my lore.
Fantastic. See, I love the fact that you learn something new every day. I believe that we've learned quite a few things from you. What's your one takeaway that you want the audience to remember you by? And are you promoting anything at the moment?
I mean, just promoting myself, always promoting myself. I think that you already have all of the data that you could ever need to make the decisions in your business. You do not need to buy another course. You do not need to buy something that's going to just tell you what you already know. Go and spend some time getting to know the numbers in your business. It's not scary. They will help you, I promise.
Zoe Dew. I keep saying Zoe Dew, but Zoe, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. You got to come back because I've still got loads of questions I want to ask you. So I'll ask you back and I'll see you soon.
Thank you
Everybody
so
else,
much.
take care. Thanks.
Bye.